Hi guys, Nick Dooley here, founder of Store Census. If you're an agency that is working with Shopify stores, or maybe you're just looking for new customers and you've thought about getting into e-commerce, then this video is for you. A lot of our customers over at Store Census are agencies. I had one reach out to me and they wanted to jump on a video call. They explained that they had just created an email marketing package. The gist of it was is that they installed Klaviyo, they set up email sequences, they set up an abandoned cart, all extremely valuable things to have for an e-commerce store. So you would think people would be eating that up, but unfortunately, they were experiencing the opposite of that. They were getting no bites at all, which is why they reached out to me to further understand why were these e-commerce stores not interested in their marketing package. So after speaking to them further, I had asked them, how did you find these e-commerce stores to begin with? What made you choose them? And they said, we actually purchased an e-commerce lead list off of a generic website. And they said, hey, we should actually show you some sample data. And I said, yeah, that's great, show me. So they shared their screen, they popped open an Excel sheet, and it was just random data. There was a mix of Shopify stores, Wix, Woo, e-commerce. It was just very generic. But you know what? Let me show you a different way to approach this using Store Census. I believe you need to be more specific with your targeting. So I shared my screen and I started going through. That's what I want to demonstrate today. So it just goes to show you how important targeting is when you're running an email outreach campaign. So what I had explained to them is we can segment all of the Shopify stores that don't have Klaviyo installed. That would be a good first target, right? Because if they don't have it installed, well, they probably don't have any email sequence set up. They probably don't have an abandoned cart set up. So we will filter for Klaviyo and we will set this to no. This means that the application Klaviyo is not installed in these Shopify stores. So we have 1,879,000 Shopify stores that do not have Klaviyo installed, right? Now, they're a US-based company, and they had said that they only want US customers. So for this demonstration, we will select United States of America. What we wanted to focus on, or what I wanted them to focus on, was stores that actually had a budget to spend on their email marketing service. So what we did is we went into estimated sales, a minimum revenue of at least 50,000. And we'll apply that. So now we have technology spend. This is how much money a store is spending on a monthly basis on technology. That could be Shopify applications, that can be other tech stack, such as their hosting provider or another piece of software that they're using. It could be marketing or some other software that helps them run their business. So I think between $500 to $1,000 a month is a great range. That should be like a mid-store, especially with this revenue. So now, as you can see, we dramatically decreased the results down to 4,000. Now this is a good starting point. We do not want to have an ICP, an ideal customer profile, that is too broad, especially when we're just testing the waters. You want to segment down, niche down as much as possible for testing purposes. And then we went down and I had shown them that there are different verticals. I had said, hey, look, let's start with one vertical. We'll test the waters. If it works out, then we can move on and do different segments to expand further. So we actually started with fashion and apparel. And now that gives us a good amount of leads to reach out to. We have 670, which is plenty, right? You only need one customer to generate some decent revenue here. So now what I had shown them is, now we want to get into the prospecting angle. We have 670 potential leads that meet our criteria. You can see up here we have the filter set. Now, how do we contact them? How do we find their contact information? You want to go into communication channels. If you're running an email outreach campaign, you want to make sure they have an email address available. So you can do this. That brings it down to 488. If you're going to be reaching out by telephone, you would want to click this as well. Or maybe you want to reach out on LinkedIn, right? You can click LinkedIn here and it'll give you their LinkedIn profile. So you can message them on LinkedIn with Sales Navigator or even directly. But anyway, for our demonstration today, we just want their email. So if we click on here, you will see we can unlock one email. So let's go ahead and do that. And we have this email now that we can reach out to, right? They're publicly available, and sometimes they might be a bit generic, right? It might be support or info@coinbureau.com or maybe sales. But now if you want to go a bit further and find the decision makers, if you want to go a step further and contact somebody you think will respond better to your offer, you can go to the decision makers tab here and you can click find decision makers. Now this costs 1 credit, which is pretty cheap in comparison to, for example, Apoyo. So we'll see if this finds anything. Okay, it found something. So now you can see the company, right? The location, and their emails are hidden. It costs another credit to unlock each one. We have the title, their position. Now this is very important when it comes to who you want to reach out to. Now, in my opinion, if we're trying to sell an email marketing package, we probably want to reach out to marketing and operations manager. Sometimes the decision maker fails to work. So what I would suggest is that you can also hook up your Apollo using the integration. Essentially, you would go to integrations and you would just go to add integration and you would select Apollo. You would get an API key out of your Apollo account. You would go into the API section. You would create a master key and you would just copy and paste it in here. I've already done that, as you can see here. This one is integrated. It works. It's not as accurate as Apollo, but it's very similar when it does work. The data is very similar. So now let's see if Apollo can make this work here. So we have the same marketing and operations manager here, Adrian. Let's unlock their information. Okay, here we go. So now we have Adrian's email here. You can export this information. So now you can build a list for your email outreach. If you don't want to use the decision maker tabs, the publicly available information is pretty effective. It's more cost effective if you don't want to go through everything and start unlocking. But now if you are trying to be precise and you think that your offer will be well received if you reach out to a decision maker, then I suggest you integrate Apollo, or you could just try using the decision maker tab that we have integrated into the system already. Once you have this information, you can go over here and click export all results. Now, what I suggest doing here is clicking on one email per store. This will, if you had unlocked anything in the decision maker tab or the Apollo tab, it'll always use those first. And then as a backup, it'll look and pick the best email that was publicly available. The one we unlocked right here, if we have 1 email per store checked, it'll export this one first. If this was not available, it would jump over and export Tom here. So anyway, let's continue here. Let's export all the results. Before you export, you want to make sure you have everything you need. Before you click export column-wise, for example, we want to make sure we're exporting the emails. That's very important, or we can't do the email outreach campaign. I want to make sure I have this checked again. All right, we have our leads exported now. As you can see, we have the email column right here. This is the website where we found the decision maker, Adrian. As you can see, it exported his email here instead of the generic Tom email. Generic, for example, you have hello, help, info, tracking. Now, you might say, hey, those are too generic. Those aren't good to email. But the reality is, which means that they're always going to be checking their email inbox and they will open your email address. So it's actually more beneficial than not. I'll file this .csv file into your email campaign. Maybe you're using Instantly or Apollo. I personally like to use Email Chaser. I believe it's simple to use and it's affordable. And I believe you'll have a lot more success in finding new customers. Works for you. You want to focus on doing small changes. If you need to expand, I recommend going into new verticals. You don't want to change too much at once. Give it at least about 1 week to analyze the data. 3 to 5% response rate is great. That's that you're not inboxing. Do not put links in an email that has your offer and you want to get a response. You'll burn your domain and they'll put you right into the spam box. Anyway, if you have any questions, if you need any help, feel free to email me. My email is nick@storecensus.com. I'm more than happy to provide guidance and answer any questions. All right, have a nice day. Until next time.